You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Well, Brian Kelly met with reporters on Thursday night, last media availability before the team head to Starkville, and he gave some disappointing news about Mason Taylor and Omar Speights. Here you go.
Mason is made progress. He was out there today on the ground running. So, I think we had him at questionable. I would say he's a game-time decision. We're going to have to see him move around and see what he looks like in pregame. Omar is not as far ahead. We're going to bring him. We're going to dress him out and see what he looks like, but I'm less optimistic about him. But we'll see what happens. He's still got 48 hours, and if he can make the same kind of progress that Mason did, we got a chance. But I would say he's probably more in the doubtful range.
Okay, so Mason Taylor, questionable. Omar Speights, doubtful. So let's run through this a little bit and talk about some of the particulars and how this may look this weekend, and in particular with LSU against Mississippi State, this opponent in particular. First, the question that I had that I think everybody was going to ask is, oh my God, are they going to move Harold Perkins back inside? Because keep in mind, your off-ball linebackers were Omar Speights. You brought in Omar Speights because you needed a veteran presence there. And then you were trying Harold Perkins there. Didn't go so great week one. So you moved Perkins back outside. You moved Penn back inside. Penn was an 80 tackle guy a year ago. That makes a ton of sense. Well, your depth after that was West Weeks, his brother, freshman Whit Weeks, who they're very high on, but you don't have great numbers. So do you move Perkins back inside? Brian Kelly put that to bed very quickly.
No, we'll activate West Weeks, Whit Weeks, Greg Penn, Christian Braithwaite. Those will be the guys that will work the inside, and then Harold will obviously be the guy that we move around.
So, first of all, he's telling you there that the Harold Perkins experiment was a failure. And the bummer of it is you wasted spring and all of fall camp trying to make him into something he's not. You invested a lot of time and sweat equity into trying to make Harold Perkins an off-ball linebacker, and it took one game to realize, man, we don't have the time for this. And you don't. You need him to be an exceptional edge rusher, which is what they're going to make him do. So you're going to count on guys to step up. I don't worry at all about Greg Penn. Greg Penn, as we mentioned, Greg Penn started the opener a year ago against Florida State. Greg Penn's a big physical. He is the prototype throwback linebacker. The big dude that's 6'2", 6'3", 245. He's just a big old thick dude. You could stand in the middle, have him run downhill, see ball, hit ball, stop the run. He's very good at that. Now, do you want Greg Penn turning and coverage and running and flipping his hips and trying to defend to the sideline? Not necessarily. But if you need an off-ball linebacker to take on linemen, shed those blocks, and make tackles, Greg Penn's great at that. West Weeks is interesting because he's likely the guy that gets the start alongside Greg Penn. And if you remember, West Weeks, he played his freshman season at Virginia, transferred to LSU a year ago, played in a reserve role, special teams, reserve linebacker, but has continued to improve and get better. Now, his brother, Whit Weeks, is the true freshman, and he's fantastic. They love Whit Weeks, and Whit has the much higher ceiling than West. West is just a college junior who's in his third college season, who's got more experience, and is likely that guy that's going to be in there. But if you need a rotation in this game, then Whit Weeks and Christian Braithwaite, a couple of freshmen, are the guys that are next up. So I will remind you that a week ago against Grambling, where Speights got injured, and then you were up so much, you had backups in there primarily, but West Weeks was your leading tackler last week against Grambling. He and Zy Alexander tied for the lead with 6 tackles. Not a great thing when you had a cornerback as your leading tackler, but nonetheless. And Greg Penn had 5. So Weeks had 6, Penn had 5. Those two are likely your starting inside linebackers this week. I like that matchup. I mean, those two guys are more than capable of filling that role. Do I want Omar Speights in this game? Absolutely, I do. But do I feel like in this game, in this matchup, are those two guys capable behind a very big, physical, deep defensive line? Yes. Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo, Jordan Jefferson, Jacobian Guillory, pushing the pocket, collapsing, running lanes. Yes, I like this matchup a lot because of what Mississippi State is, and we've talked about this all week. And Zach Arnett can say what he wants, and anybody who covers that team can say whatever you want to say about what they could be, might be. They're not the air raid anymore, clearly. And through 2 games, one of them against Southeastern Louisiana and one an overtime game against Arizona where, Mississippi State controlled that game in the first half and just missed opportunities where Arizona was just turning the ball over left and right. Arizona had 5 turnovers in that game. But Mississippi State through 2 weeks is 22nd in the country in rushing offense, 221 yards a game. Woody Marks last week had 123 yards on 24 rushes. State ran 39 times for 145 against Arizona. They are a play defense, line it up, hit you in the mouth, run the football behind Woody Marks. That's what they are with Zach Arnett. They're 22nd in rush offense and 103rd in pass offense. I mean, this is like a Les Miles throwback, if you think of it in those terms. They're going to run the ball. They're not going to throw it. They're going to throw it to be efficient. They're going to play defense and try to win games like that. So in this matchup in particular, I think I'm good with the combination of Penn and West weeks. I think you can manage this game this week with those guys. Now, moving forward, you're going to need, especially, look, next week you're going to see KJ Jefferson, who can beat you with his arm, and obviously can tuck it and run. You're going to need more depth on your front seven for sure next week. You hope Speights is back next week. And then when you play Ole Miss on the road, you better believe you want Omar Speights on the field in that game because of his athleticism and ability to be a 3-down linebacker. So there are games ahead where you're going to need that guy. But this weekend in particular, you should be able to manage defensively without Omar Speights. Now, offensively, you heard him say Mason Taylor is questionable for the game.
Mason Taylor!
If Mason Taylor is not able to go, that very likely means Mac Markway gets the start at tight end. I'll remind you, Connor Gilbreth, the JUCO transfer, is also in there. He's been playing a lot. He wears number 89. He's basically a 6 offensive lineman. They're going to use him to block. You'll see him out there a bunch. But Mac Markway, this would be his opportunity as sort of the next man up. And remember, Mike Denbrock, who also the offensive coordinator, who also works with the tight ends, Mike Denbrock said this about Mac Markway during fall camp.
Mac Markway in particular has had the best camp so far as moving himself in a position to contribute to the team. Through a physicality standpoint, I think he's moving better in space. So there's some things that he can also give us in the passing game, which is welcome.
So you're looking at a guy in Mac Markway he can put his hand in the dirt. He's a physical inline blocker, and he's also become a more polished route runner and pass catcher. They like Mac Markway a lot. He looks like your prototype tight end. He looks like Travis Kelce and George Kittle. I'm not saying he's those guys. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-pro. What I mean is it's not Juwan Johnson, a receiver converted to tight end. This is a true prototypical tight end who can put his hand in the dirt, 3-point stand, be an inline blocker, who can also go run routes and is a mismatch for linebackers and safeties. So watch for 84. He could have a sizable role this weekend, especially if Mason Taylor is not able to go for LSU against Mississippi State.
Mason Taylor!
I was waiting on it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.